So he says, looking to partner. Any marketing agency owners here have or know where to find a complete A to Z setup with already proven results of quality lead generating for the common niches, home services, legal, medical, something already optimized and streamlined, not looking at all to compete, but rather join forces where I'd like to do all the work, packaging and licensing and finding distribution channels for it, and adding my own bonuses on top, and we share the monthly royalties and rev shares. Hopefully this actually gets some traction, not just likes and views. Ajom. I hope I'm saying your name right. A-J-O-M. Ajom. Do you think the volume of work on freelancing marketplaces has significantly declined due to the war and the pandemic? Josh says, do you have warm nurture content going out weekly to unconverted leads? There we go, motherfuckers. I think we're in. There's a shocker. Welcome back to another weekly Q&A. For those of you guys who are new here, my name's Frankie Fihn. I wrote those two books up there, if you can see them. And we are jamming on all your agency questions. You guys keep bringing back smarter questions, so I'm doing my best to show up. Just a quick little announcement before we get rocking and rolling. I think now is the time to really get ahead of the curve, which to me is one more reason you guys should check out the Wolfpack. I put some links below, by the way, for places we can work together. The Wolfpack is our private agency owners mastermind, and I think the next 2 to 5 years are going to get crazy. I was just looking at an ad from a friend of mine named Jeff Hunter, and he sent me an ad that is so realistic. There's no way I could have told you. It was for ceiling fans for a company in Texas, and it was funny, and there was no way I wouldn't have known it was an AI video unless he had told me. And we're about to enter in a world where the lines are about to get blurred. There's going to be fake influencers. And a lot of people are still selling like it's 1996. Hey, we're still doing websites and pay-per-click and all that shit. And if you don't want to be left out in the cold, because the next 2 to 5 years, I personally think is the biggest opportunity of our entire lifetime. And a lot of people are going to be left thumbs up their asses because they're trying to sell the same old services in the same old ways to the same old people who've already been pitched that 1,000 times. So if you guys want to be ahead of that curve, we're building some really cool wild shit. You should check it out. You can go to beyondagencyprofits.com if you're checking out the replay on YouTube, or you can just go grab that link below. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. With me, the greatest of all time, the man they call the man, the golden dad guns, the one who makes the ladies moister than an oyster. You know, just so you guys know, these shenanigans come from the fact that I watched too much wrestling growing up. I don't even like wrestling anymore, by the way. I'm one of those old people like one of those people who thinks like music hasn't gotten any better in 20 years, which is actually true, by the way. But anyways, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Excuse me. A little dry throat. It looks like I'm just ramming coffee, by the way, but this is just water. I just like big cups full of water, just so you guys know. All right. First question is our man Jorge. He says, I want to learn YouTube ads for my clients. Can anyone tell me who I can follow that teaches YouTube ads and is legit? Okay. I'm going to give you something that I hope will make your lives easier. Because first is let me say that Alera Keck has some good stuff on YouTube ads. But I want to give you guys some good stuff that is useful for all ad platforms, both for yourselves and for clients. And if you really understand this piece, it doesn't really matter how many different fucking ad platforms come out or what changes, because people forget the most important thing is understanding the person on the other side. So here is the first thing that I look for with any advertising platform. Can we target the people who have a proven history of spending money on the kinds of things that we sell? Right? So like, for example, like let's say you're trying to help a home services client. They do, I don't know, roofing. If you talk to people who are in the ghetto and only rent, you're not going to sell any roofing at all, because you're simply not targeting the buyers, right? This is universally true of every industry. Like, for example, Ilke and I, we probably go to a restaurant once, twice a week, maybe sometimes like 2-3 times a week. I'm a guy who likes trying new restaurants, going to fancy places. For example, if you run an ad and you target somebody like me and say, hey, I got a new cool restaurant to check out, Who do you think that's going to work better on? Somebody who like never goes to a restaurant and doesn't believe in eating out or can't afford it or whatever the reasons are, or somebody like me who does it very frequently, right? Like you're going to have a much easier time selling somebody like me. And we're all buyers and non-buyers of things. I mentioned this. Books are like that for me. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to buy business books until I'm dead. And that's just how it's going to be, right? And there's a bunch of people who like don't buy business books, right? Like I got lots of family members like that. So that's the first and most important thing I think on any ad platform is, can you strategically get in front of the people who buy? And sometimes they all have different targeting and ways of setting up ads and accounts like that. But at the end of the day, can you get in front of the people who buy? If you do that, your ads have a much higher chance of actually working. Second thing is that I look for is you have to have an offer that people want, right? So like a lot of times I see this, it doesn't matter what, because I'm part of like a lot of communities. So I go into groups for YouTube ads. I'm in groups for Facebook ads. I'm in groups for Google ads, and almost always when an ad isn't working, which happens to fucking everybody who's ever run ads, by the way, you'll have more ads that don't work than do. What boggles my mind is how much people talk about the technical shit. They go, like on Facebook, they'll say, only increase your winners by this. What was your campaign objective? Did you do this or that? And nobody says, what did you fucking offer the people? The people on the other side of the ad, what did you actually offer them? I saw a guy like the other day who's posting, I'm trying to get web design clients. And it was basically just run ads to his website that says, we build websites, call now. Well, that's very different than if he's run an ad that says, hey, home services, we figured out how to sell roofing jobs. And right now we got a special for $2,500. You can get a 5-page roofing website that we know will generate roofing phone calls, blah, blah, blah. That's just one example. Like, that's going to work better. Right? I don't know if it'll crush it, but it's an example of something that'll work better. Okay. So that's the second thing is, what are we going to offer? And then because we're in a world of social media, I also look at the creative. And where possible, I try and make the creative have entertainment value, although I think about the entertainment last. I think about, firstly, can we get in front of buyers? What can we offer them? Those two things. And then, thirdly, like, how can we make this funny, entertaining, whatever, so that people actually want to watch it, consume it, whatever. Right, based on how the platform works. So on Facebook, that might be an image. On YouTube, obviously, it's going to be a video. If it's an ad, you want to, and they can skip the ad after like 5 seconds, and you might want to hook them in the first 5 seconds, right? Like, you got to play with what you're working with in the platform. So the creative details change. And then, probably less talked about, but I believe the more noise there is on this old interwebs, this online world, I think it's going to take more and more repetition to get people's attention. But if you do those 4 things, where you got you target the buyers, you have an irresistible offer, you have cool creatives, and you stay in front of people and follow up with them, like, your ads are going to work. Don't matter what platform you're on, by the way. So I mean, that's the gist of YouTube ads, any ad platform. People like to make it more complicated than it is, and the reason they make it more complicated, I believe, is the technical shit. Because like on Facebook, they have, like, for example, we run a lot of Facebook ads. They have 27 fucking different buttons you can click. But most of those don't fucking matter as much as, are we showing ads to the right people? Are we offering them cool shit? What are we doing creatively to get their attention? And how are we following up? Like, the real fucking basics. Vince Lombardi, by the way, the most famous football coach of all time, said football is 2 things, blocking and tackling. And they asked him, like, well, what about, all these new plays and things like that? And he said, football is 2 things, blocking and tackling. What he meant is boring fundamentals. Boring fundamentals get lost. I'll tell you, if you ever log into an ad platform, it's easy to believe that the reason your ads aren't performing is because you clicked that button and that one, or you did this campaign setting instead of that one, or you did this. And I'm not saying all those things don't matter. They do. But they don't matter nearly as much as what you actually fucking offer buyers. Right? So nail the fucking blocking and tackling, and you'll notice all of a sudden the algorithm becomes your friend. Most people nail the minutia and fail in the really big shit that matters. Right? Like, I think of that web design guy who just said, like, here's our web design website. We make websites. Get one of them here. And then, of course, nobody fucking bought it. And by the way, I'm just throwing it out there. Facebook's doing that thing where I don't see your messages. It's just become the new standard. I don't see what the fuck you guys are posting. So, welcome to my world. Anyways, I hope that's helpful, dude, though, because as I mentioned, you can learn from Alaric Heck, but if you learn the basics of advertising, the real blocking and tackling, you can make it work on any fucking ad platform. I actually had a talk I did inside of our community. You can also find it on the YouTube channel with a guy named Charlie Valor. And Charlie is a guy who I asked a lot of the $100 million internet marketing friends of mine plus, like, who's the top media buyer and they all said Charlie. And when I sat down and talked with Charlie, if you guys listen to the talk, it's fucking blocking and tackling. Like, he was talking about how to position and create offers and how he creatively retargets people. Like, blocking and tackling, guys. Blocking and tackling. Next one up. As I mentioned, I don't see your comments in real time, so we'll hit those up after. George says, haven't had one of these in a while, at least publicly, but question for Monday's Q&A. How do you make content that gets people to like you and buy your stuff at the same time? I've been reflecting on the content world a lot recently, and I think I've put almost everyone in 3 buckets. 1, those who sell shit and they're selling you shit, but you don't care because you like and respect them anyway. Some of my favorites include Frankster, Blake Rocha, I don't know how to say, Kevin Kunze, and Jason Fladlien. 2, those who sell shit and you hate them for it. They post fake annoying shit that makes your blood boil when you see it because they're clearly trying to make content for sales. This is me when I think about it. 3, those who do neither and just make stuff for fun, think Mr. Beast. The long question is, how do you be more like 1? They always seem to sell the most without people hating them for posting. That is a fucking great question, G-Money. How do you post shit online, be totally upfront about the fact that you're selling, and not be obnoxious about it, right? I'm going to give you kind of some of the formulas that I use. I don't want you guys to take this as gospel. There's obviously like more than one way to be successful, and so I don't want to like to pigeonhole you guys. But I'm just going to talk about specifically something that I do frequently, which is selling through content. And I learned this way back in the day from our man Frank Kern. And Frank Kern had something that he called results in advance. And what he said, if you want to help people and sell them stuff in the process, the best way to show them that you can help them is, drumroll, by actually helping them. And I'll never forget because he used a dating analogy, and they were actually selling, there was a guy named Neil Strauss, they created $1 million course together, and they were selling it in the dating world. And the basic idea that they were trying to do is to help guys who either fit one of 2 categories. Either they were trying to get laid, get some action, or they were trying to meet like a steady girlfriend. And either way, the beginning process was the same. And so he described 5 emails that were all content that he sent to people. And he said that the first thing that most guys struggled with is they didn't even know how to talk to a girl. So they sent a whole email that was about like how to start a conversation with somebody. And then the second thing is once they had a conversation going, they didn't really know what to talk about. So the second email was like things to talk about. And then they didn't know how to quote unquote close. So they didn't know how to ask for the pretty girl's phone number. So they would show them like, here's just a non-threatening, natural way to say, hey, I'd like to keep this conversation going. Can I have your number? And then they were talking about, like, the next thing the guys had to do was text back and forth to get a date. And so they had, like, an email about texting. And then the 5th was, how do you, like, have a cool date together? And those were the 5 emails. And what he said is, like, anything that you're trying to do can be mapped out into a process in a series of steps. And the more you just give, like, Costco gives free samples on those steps and actually help people towards the outcome that they're actually trying to get, and through the problems they're trying to solve, what would happen is people would naturally gravitate to you without you having to have authority and to convince people you're awesome and all those kind of things. Now, what most people do in our space especially is a thing my old operations manager Stephen Yen used to call peacocking. So peacocking is when you try and look cool on the old internet and you stick your feathers out and you try and, by looking cool, figure people will want to do business with you by doing that. And it generally comes across as, especially if you're exposed to it multiple times, as straight up fucking obnoxious. So, for example, like you see this a lot with the fake Lambo, the big house, like that kind of crowd, where they're peacocking. They're trying to look cool, and they're like, I'm cool. If you want to be as cool as me, buy my shit. And almost everybody who buys their shit ends up disappointed. Which also there's a fundamental difference in intention, by the way. When you're doing what Frank Kern calls results in advance and you're actually helping people, you are in it for the long haul, and you actually want to do business with these people over the long term. When you're in it for the short term, wham bam, thank you ma'am, you're just trying to like get their money and sell them a course and then go fuck you, whatever. And there can be reasons to do both, by the way. Morally I don't recommend the second, but nonetheless, people do it. But if you're looking to do business with people for a long time, like the best thing you do is you wake up and you actually help them. You demonstrate you can help them by actually fucking helping them. It sounds so mind-numbingly simple, but yet in actual practice, people do the fucking opposite, right? Like they'll say and do anything. And then, as you mentioned, there's a third bucket called entertainment. Now, that's a totally different game to those of you guys who are selling expertise, either in the form of services, or you're selling consulting or coaching, or you're trying to get people to buy a product from you, like maybe a digital product. But most of you guys fit the services description here, so we'll keep it focused on that. But what you're trying to do is demonstrate your expertise, and the best way to demonstrate your expertise is by actually helping them. Now, there is another layer to it, and the other layer that I would add to that is it helps if you mix in entertainment, right? Like social media was not designed for people to go on and learn shit and sell shit. I always said people would rather be entertained than enlightened. And those of you guys who are followers of me on YouTube, you'll know if you've stuck with me for more than like a few months, my videos are getting more ridiculous by the day. And that is because we are upping the entertainment factor. So I still have the basics. There's still results in advance. There's still helpful shit. But mixed in there is the internet clown, the guy who's making too much noise in class and got yelled at by the teacher, which actually didn't really happen when I was younger. It only happened when I was in my college days. That was when the teacher said, "Shut up, Frankie! You're being too loud." That's like, your class is boring, Mr. Dick Nose. So that's the other nuance of it. But if you really just kind of focus on those results in advance and actually helping people, I compare it to the way Costco sells, right? Like if you go to Costco, they don't beat you over the head and say, "We got the best pizza. We won 3 awards. Our pizza's amazing. Our pizza's got a 2 Comma Club award. Yeah, it's a Lambo driving pizza." What they do, for those of you guys who are not American and have never been to a Costco, what they do is they sell everything in bulk. So like if they got a box of 20 frozen pizzas they want to sell you to, they make one of them and they cook it up in a toaster oven. They have a nice lady there and she sticks a toothpick in little pieces and she hands you a free sample, says, "Would you like to try one?" And inevitably what happens is if you try one, you go, "Hey, that's pretty good. What would it cost me to get a whole box of them?" And the way they sell their pizza is they just give away little free samples that ultimately lead into the big sale. And so if you really think about your content as a small free sample that leads into the big sale, rather than trying to convince people you're awesome or all those things, you focus on how can we wake up today and give away free samples, and knowing that just like Costco, yeah, some people are going to take the free sample and walk away. And they'll say thank you, by the way, and they'll appreciate you. And then some people are going to want more, and they're going to say, "How much is it for 20 boxes?" But either way, you get up and demonstrate you can help people, and then you mix in a little bit of fun and humor and entertainment or whatever, and what you'll find is your content will naturally pull people in a non-douchey way. And it sounds really simple, but most content isn't designed to help people. It's designed to peacock, right? So people ultimately know, right? Peacocking is, and imagine if the Costco lady said, "Our pizza is the most amazing 2 Comma Club award-winning best pizza ever, and if you guys are smart, you should comment below to buy our pizza," right? That just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. That's very different than "Hey, if I've been working on this pizza recipe for the last year and I think it's really good, and how would you like to just try a little piece? If you want me to send you a piece, let me know." And then what happens, it's more pull. And I think pulling is a way more scalable model than all the push stuff that's taught in our space. Push stuff is cold DM motherfuckers and hard sell them and force everybody to jump on a call. And I think it's way easier just to get on your fucking stand and give away your Costco free sample and have people go, "That's pretty good." And if you have little balloons so that families with kids, animal balloons mixed into your free pizza, where it's a double whammy, they can entertain the kids and try some free pizza, you're going to sell a lot of fucking pizza. And you won't have to try so hard. And you don't have to convince people your shit's awesome, because after they have a free sample, they're like, hey, that actually was pretty fucking good. Right? And so that's how I think of it, is Frank Kern's old school results in advance. The best way to show people you can actually help them is by actually helping them. Crazy fucking idea that's not really taught in our space. I probably should do a video on results in advance and kind of like breaking that down, because if you understand that, it's never that hard to sell your shit. You just keep giving people results in advance, and eventually they'll go, I want the full thing. Right? We think, by the way, in our scarcity thinking, we think the opposite is true, that if I give them away free samples, they're just going to take the free samples and run, and they'll never take my full thing. And in reality, it's the opposite. Like, Costco sells more pizza because they give away more free samples. Do some people take the free samples and not buy? Of course. Of course. But a lot of those people, by the way, appreciate them more and say thank you and like become referral partners and things like that. And so you should go to Costco. You know, I remember as a kid growing up, my mom used to take us to Costco and we wouldn't buy anything. We'd just go to mow down on some free samples, right? And of course, she referred lots of people to Costco. Like, take your kids to Costco. It's the best way. They got all the free samples. They love it there, right? So anyways, I hope that's helpful to you, my brother, because when you figure out how to sell through content in a pull way, what happens is there's a magic that's true of content that's not true of what everybody else does. And content can be things like webinars and podcasts and stuff like that, and Facebook ads and shit like that. It's one to many. So, like, you can deliver one piece of content and scale the fuck out of it. Like, I think of Jason Fladlien, who, like, has $100 million webinars where they sell the fuck out of shit on webinars. He just has to make one piece of content and scale it, right? And how hard would it be for him to one-to-one DM $10 million worth of sales? Like, pretty fucking hard, right? But, like, one webinar, it's one piece of content that he just amplifies with some paid ads, and it sells the fuck out of his shit without trying to chase it so hard. All right. Next up, this was a post from our man Basil Hakim, and I wanted to kind of comment on it. Oh, and I should mention, for those of you guys who are just joining me, Facebook's doing that thing. I don't see your posts. I will respond after the live is over. But feel free to leave a comment, because I do appreciate you guys shooting your mouths off over here. I got something on my screen there. There we go. So he says, looking to partner. Any marketing agency owners here have or know where to find a complete A to Z setup with already proven results of quality lead generating for the common niches, home services, legal, medical, something already optimized and streamlined, not looking at all to compete, but rather join forces where I'd like to do all the work, packaging and licensing and finding distribution channels for it, and adding my own bonuses on top, and we share the monthly royalties and rev shares. Hopefully this actually gets some traction, not just likes and views. All right. So I want to talk to you guys about something that nobody really talks about in our space, but I kind of went on this deep on the second book here, Passive Automated Recurring Income, which I think there is an evolution you go through in this internet marketing business. So in the beginning, like I'll just share my own experience, and then you guys, can hopefully get some valuable ideas from that. When I started off, I was very much in poverty thinking. And so like poverty thinking is, for me, like when I was poverty thinking, I was just trying to make just enough to get through to the weekend. If I could get drunk on the weekend, I'm winning that life. Hell yeah. Right? That was it. And so my financial sort of like planning was like 5 weeks. And so when it came to getting clients, when I was in poverty mode, any client would do, as long as the credit card worked. It didn't matter how much work. And what happens is, a lot of poor people, because they're in poverty, they sign themselves up for really shitty tasks for low pay. And you do the same thing when you run an agency, by the way. So that's like level one, the poverty level. The second level, which is the most commonly taught thing in our space, which is the middle class. And you're middle class when you're mostly like, when I was middle class, I was trying to get a good salary with some benefits, a nice office, right? Like I think when I worked at the Ford Motor Company, I was middle class as fuck, upper middle class even, right? I got a good supervisor job. My mom was thrilled because I had health benefits and dental benefits. Yay me. And by the way, it was soul-sucking factory work, but that's a discussion for another day. And what happens is you're trying to get a good salary, and so a lot of people approach their agency that way, where the only thing they're after is a monthly salary. If I could get a monthly paycheck. And so you see this where people do well, but they have to have like 12 trillion retainer clients. I think the third level which can be, you can start at the third level right away, is when you adopt what I call the investor mindset. An investor is basically doing shit whenever it's a good deal, right? So like, for example, I deal, with real estate investors, and when they have a buy box that makes sense, they'll buy anything, anywhere, anytime, by the way. Why? Because if it makes sense to buy it, they'll buy it, right? So like, they have some criteria and stuff like that, but a lot of times when they're in that space, like if a deal makes sense, a deal makes sense. So translating this back to your agency, there are a lot of ways to grow your agency revenue as more of a deal maker and less of a doer. And so Basil kind of pointed this out, which he's alluding to, which is if you go to any agency right now that has a good product, a good setup, a good system, a good team, and you say to them, I want to sell your stuff like your affiliate or a licensee. I want to bring you clients and bring you money. Is there a way you could pay me a percentage of the revenue? They would probably say, fuck yeah, you can. I would say probably like 18 times, 19 times out of 20, they would say, fuck yeah. One or two times they would say, hey, we're not looking to scale, or we have too much work as it is, so that would be a no-go. We're trying to, backfill all our stuff. But I'll tell you, most times they'd be like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. And so there is no rule that says you have to sell your own shit. And so a lot of times I see this where a lot of you guys are not really sure of your market and what to do, and you don't really know how to do the fulfillment and the deliverables, and therefore you get all like insecure. But I would say like just find another $1 million agency and help them to get to 2 million, sell their shit for them, and work out a deal. And you'll probably make way more money because you'll start with a proven offer, proven system, proven team. They'll retain people better. Like all of those things are already in place. And there's no rule that says it has to be your own shit. And by the way, and there's no rule that says you can't take that same client and help them with their software and tools stack and get affiliate commissions for all the software and tools you help them set up. And this is how a like deal maker thinks, which is I'm not bound by like having to provide a service. You're not constrained by being boxed into a service. You're constrained by, does the buy box, does the deal make sense? Also, by the way, right, like let's say, like if you think about the way most people operate, I'll tell you the saddest thing when people operate as a middle class sort of entity, which most agencies are set up as. Like I got friends who got $10 million agencies that just have like 250 fucking clients that pay them every month. And here's the problem, right? They help some of those clients crush it. Do you think they get a share of it? Like if an employee, like let's say when I worked at Ford, let's say there was actually a guy who worked at, not the plant I worked at, they had a sister plant across town, and he created something called the Cosworth process. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but basically it made it so when they made an engine block, they used less metal, and that compounded to like hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? So he made them hundreds of millions of dollars by coming up with the Cosworth process. It's something like anti-gravity, reverse, whatever. They use less metal, right? And there's less throwaway metal. Saved the company hundreds of millions of dollars. What do you think he got for saving the company hundreds of millions of dollars? They sent him a bonus, by the way. It was like 10 grand or something like that. We appreciate you, Mr. Engineer. Here's a $10,000 bonus. And I think they gave him some sort of plaque. But did he get any share of that 100 million? Fuck no. Right, so this is a problem when the way most people run agencies as a middle class person is you don't get any equity, you don't get any ownership. You put together deals, and you help clients grow the fuck out of their business, and then you don't get any of that, right? So to me, the real thing you should be after is equity and ownership, and you can still create cash flow in the interim, right? So if you understand this, like that's what you're really after is equity and ownership, and cash flow along the way is super awesome and nice, but the real benefit, right? Like if you think about that engineer, if he came in as an outside consultant and said, hey, I can help you save $100 million worth of metal. Here's what I want. I want 10% of all the savings you guys get in perpetuity forever. And then you guys are going to pay me a $50,000 a year consulting fee to help you build it, right? Yeah, okay, the $50,000 a year consulting fee don't suck. Right, like that's what a lot of people would consider a respectable job, but the $10 million savings in perpetuity, that's what he's really after, right? So we want to be smart and intelligent and build our shit like investors. And so I wanted to just kind of rant on this because I don't think most people build like investors. They build like middle class people just trying to trade time for a salary. I want a corner office and good benefits. But what happens is if you help 100x a company, you don't get any equity. That's the real fucking loss. I think about, one of the first clients who shared with me how much our SEO had blown up their business. He basically told me we made him like $3 million. I was charging him $400 a month to make a guy and actually that was in 6 months. So we probably added like 6 million. So I got 4,800 a year, 400 times 12. And if I had just said, hey, it's $400 a month plus 10% of whatever we help you grow, he probably would have said, sure. And that would have been like, a $600,000 a year contract for the same work, by the way. So that's my way of saying, think like an investor. If you guys want to go deeper on that concept, I got the Digital Deal Makers Passive Automated Recurring Income book, which you can find on the old Amazon. I'm about to go something real big on that, just so you guys know, because I believe this shit is way more life-changing than being a service provider. Not that I'm against you guys being service providers. I think it's a good way to cut your teeth and to grow and to make good money, but I think if you guys really want to fucking retire your kids, which is a goal of mine that I'm working towards, you want to retire your kids, it's going to be done through equity and ownership. It ain't going to be done through a salary. All right, rant over. Next question. Ajom. I hope I'm saying your name right. Ajom. Ajom. Do you think the volume of work on freelancing marketplaces has significantly declined due to the war and the pandemic? First thing I'd like to say for those of you guys who are just joining us halfway through the feed here, Facebook's doing that thing. I don't see your comments until after, so I will happily reply after. Appreciate you guys for watching this. Here's what I'm going to say. Freelancing sites suck for you as somebody trying to get work. That's all I'm going to say. They really fucking suck. And so whether the volume's up or down, I would avoid them like the plague. And I'll tell you why most people use them that do. Because often you're in a third world place and you don't know how to meet first world people that are looking to hire shit. And so it's an easy, convenient place where they post their job and then you get a chance to bid on it. The flip side of that is, I'll tell you as somebody who's hired thousands over 20 years, I've hired literally thousands. I actually checked on Fiverr. I have something like 2,500 gigs that I've hired on Fiverr. So on Fiverr, I've hired almost 2,500 people. Okay. I never go to a job site because I'm looking to pay top dollar for some super skilled help. It's usually some odd job where I'm looking for the cheapest, quickest, lowest maintenance kind of thing. And so the flip side of that is it's very, very hard to make real fucking money. And the way you do it, if you want to do it successfully, is it's really on the second and the third sale. After you've built trust with the buyer, is to go back to them and give them ideas for other things you may potentially help them with. That's how you would actually make real money. But I would suggest it is a much better way to be able to generate your own business up front. And it is really just 4 basics. And everybody wants to skip this is pick a niche of people. This matters because you're going to need to go where they are to connect with them. Find a problem they got. By the way, they are not hiding their problems. They're having active discussions on the internet already about their problems. You just aren't reading them. Third, you create a deliverable, a solution to one of those problems and make it about their problem, not about your deliverable. So too many times people, I'll give you an example of this. When I did this in the water damage restoration space, one of the things they said is we don't even get paid on most of the jobs we have. And I said, well, which ones do you get paid on? The quickest. And they said the high-end residential flood jobs because they usually the insurance company only dicks us around for a week or two, as where other stuff, it can be 4 to 6 months waiting to get paid. So we created an SEO service that was about getting you the jobs you get paid on. Not, hey, we'll get your number one top Google, more leads. Think about that. Most people just say we'll get you more jobs, more sales, more customers, more business. And if they're not even getting paid on 80% of the work, why would they want more? They're losing money on the business they get. So we focused on, hey, we'll get you the 20% you do get paid on. And that meant we had to go after certain keywords and optimize the site a certain way. And kind of the GBP had to be optimized a certain way. But at the end of the day, we focused on getting them what they want, a solution to their problem. And then that's when you got to go market the fuck out of it. And usually involves going where they are. If you do those 4 things, you're going to be successful. And most people, by the way, want to skip to step 3, which is where you come up with the deliverable. And I would tell you almost always, if you come up with the deliverable in a vacuum, you're going to create something that people don't want or need. Right? Like if we had just created another SEO and pay-per-click service for restoration people, hey, we do SEO, we do pay-per-click, give us money, we would have lost. But if we focused on, hey, we'll help you get the kind of jobs you actually get paid on, like that's a win, right? Even though it's almost identical service, it's slightly, like I call it a 10-degree shift. It's slightly different because, we're still doing the same shit, but we're bidding on different keywords and we're optimizing the website for a different kind of thing. But like that's powerful shit when it's applied, just so you guys know. So anyways, my advice to you is get off the fucking freelancing platforms if you ever want to make any real money. I understand it's easy. I understand like you're bidding, but it's a meat market. Like I think they used to have these reality TV shows. Like they had this one called The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. So like they did it with both sexes. But like a guy goes there and he's got like 30, 40, 50 women. I don't know how many, but it's a reality TV show where they get rid of one each week until there's just one, and then he picks one girl. Like, that's the worst place to fucking find a partner, is when you're competing with 49 other chicks, right? You want to go where you can be on equal status, equal footing, and you're the only one in that space, right? Like, I hear this a lot with people who deal in the contracting niches, is Angie's List. Angie like sells them all these shitty leads, and Thumbtack sells them all these shitty leads, and they resell the same leads over and over, and people hate it. Do you really want to go where you're being chopped around with 20, 30 leads, or do you want to be proactive and go get in front of them? Because if you're proactive and do it, you choose your clients, not the other way around. Like when you choose your niche and you choose their problem and you choose your deliverable, that's all free choice. When you're on a freelancing platform, you got to settle for whoever says yes to your proposal, and there's a lot of chasing. It's hardcore, man. So that's my way of saying, yes, freelancing platforms work, but man, I don't recommend them because it's hardcore hustle and chase. There's lots of competition, and ultimately you're going to be low paid for the work that you actually do. And if your goal is to be the lowest paid, go by all means do it. If your goal is to raise your value and raise your status, go choose your own clients. Anyways, I'll probably do some videos on that to go deeper for those of you guys who are on the freelancing sites, how to get off them and generate your own clients, because if you do that, you don't need those motherfuckers. Josh says, do you have warm nurture content going out weekly to unconverted leads? All right, so I have a rant planned for this one. I had a conversation with our mastermind folks, and I don't have a crystal ball, just so you guys know. I don't know what's coming down the road with AI. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what's next. But I just asked this one question. With the introduction of AI into our like sort of online internet marketing space, do you think the internet is going to get quieter or noisier? Okay? Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but if I was a bet man standing in Las Vegas and I had to bet on which direction it's going, I would bet everything I fucking own on noisier. Everything. And I would be quite confident I would double my money by the end of that. Why? Because AI is virtually guaranteed it. Anybody who's anybody has now found out that it's so much easier to create content now than it once was. Now, what that means for you and why I bring this up is because I believe follow-up, which was already important, is going to get increasingly more important. Why? Because for people to even remember you at all, it's going to take 7, 14, 20 touches for them to be seriously considering doing business with you. I think of this, right? So I'll pick on myself. But when I was like 20 years old, we would go drinking where I grew up. Michigan is right next door. And Michigan has a legal drinking age of 21. And Ontario, Canada has a legal drinking age of 19. So anybody who's 19 or 20 years old would cross the border into Canada and get drunk as fucking Canada. They're like, that's what they did. And so like on Friday and Saturday, Canada would become drunk Michigan for like a couple hours at night. And I remember like when you're a young guy and you're just trying to get some action with a girl, all of a sudden it's 1:45. The bars are going to close in 15 minutes. You're drunk. And you're trying to get some action, you're not looking for some super awesome, memorable experience. You just go from girl to girl like, hey, and see what you can drum up. And you do it There's no follow-up. There's no second touch. There's no anything because you're not really in it for anything long-term. And by the way, you mostly strike out when you do that. You mostly strike out, even for people who are looking for that kind of thing, right? So that's what typically happens, okay? The flip side of that is if you're in a real relationship, like I can look at like Ilka, my lady, and the amount of fucking text messages we have back and forth, and it's a lot, right? So I just shared, like, there's the most recent one. I shared a cute picture of, I took the kids out. She asked me if I took the dog out. I said yes. We actually brought the dog on a kayak. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. That was yesterday. Did you take the dog out? Yes, I brought the dog on a kayak. Spoiled fucking dog. Got to go on a kayak. So, anyways, when you're in a real relationship, there is repetition and there is follow-up. So I think repetition and follow-up is going to become increasingly more important. So they say statistically it takes like 7 times to make a sale, 7 touches before somebody buys. I expect that at least to double or even triple over the next couple of years. And so people who are trying to be like the guy at the bar who are trying to go from I just met you to close are going to be significantly handicapped to people who have 20, 30 touches with every single potential client. And the flip side of that is automation's made this dog shit easy. Like, you don't have to follow up with prospects manually. Who would ever say you got to do that shit manually? So I believe like this is going to become more and more important. Like once I have a validated offer, like probably my very next move is to introduce a massive amount of follow-up about that offer. Why? Because everybody's fucking busy. They got too much to do and they need to hear from you multiple times. Like I think about like when I go with my kids to watch a movie on Netflix, it often takes me 10 minutes to decide because there's so much fucking shit on Netflix. And that's just one fucking little media. Then multiply that by there's billboard, there's radio, there's old-fashioned TV, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's LinkedIn, right? Like, do people have too many messages or too little? Too many, right? So chances are your messages are going to get lost in the shuffle. And if you don't plan for that with strategic follow-up, you're fucking losing. So I get asked this all the time where people ask me, like, how do I close clients in one single leap and bound? And it can be done, just so you guys know, but you're severely handicapping yourself if you're trying to do it in one leap and bound. I kind of compare it to like either golf or football. Like, okay, let's use the football analogy. If your goal is to get points on the board, and you've ever watched a football game, like, yeah, there's some big plays, like Hail Mary, somebody goes 80 yards on a play, but more often than not, winning football is just continuously moving forward, right? Where it's like, you gain 4 yards, okay, second down, okay, pass of 6, first down, continue, move the chains, run for 3 yards, run for 6 yards, run for 2 yards, another first down. And if you keep doing that, eventually, after like, you know, you see in football where they went 17 plays and 84 yards. Well, most people aren't interested in the, how do I get to the end zone in 17 plays? But I promise you, you make the exact same amount of money from 17 plays as trying to get there in 1. And it's way more consistent and way more predictable if you try and get there in 17 plays. So that's my rant on that, just because everybody asks me, how do I go from I just met you to Hail Mary? And it can be done. But man, you severely handicap yourself. Like your only options are the drunken, questionable girls who are at the bar on a Friday night. And as where if you have some actual strategic follow-up, like you can have your pick of the best clients. And it will be very normal for them to finish at the end zone because you have 17, 20, 25 touches. So that's my way of saying, like, you guys, I think most people underestimate how much follow-up is needed. And I'll tell you how much powerful follow-up is. When I first got started, the only guy other than myself I knew making any real money was our man Dave Mizuraki, Miami's finest. And I remember joining Dave's email list. He had a product called Insider Internet Dating. And if you joined Dave's email list, he had 2.5 years worth of follow-up. So that meant Dave followed up with you for 700 and plus days in a row from the moment you joined. 800, 900 days almost, right? Like that's how much fucking automated follow-up Dave had. Like he didn't let you go easily. And then I look at all these people who are like, I sent one message, I'm not a trillionaire. And often what happens is when you send one message, they may get interested. Even if they don't reply, they may move up 8 yards. But like football, you don't get any points for 8 yards. unless you're like 7 yards or less away. So the key is like to have your automations continuously move the ball forward. And to be honest, I tried doing all these automations for you guys, creating it so that you could just rent our automations for a low monthly price. And everybody wanted the how do I go from I just met you to let's sleep together in 15 minutes. Nobody wanted the how do I go 5 yards continuously down the field over and over and over every play so that I'm guaranteed to get touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. That one wasn't nearly as sexy, but I promise you if you try it in the real world, like the 5 yards forward continuously will never fail, as where the trying to go from I just met you to end zone 80 yards in a play, you know, you're going to throw more interceptions. You're going to get picked off. The ball's going to not get enough. And then the other thing too is you can't really troubleshoot where it went wrong. Because what happens? I try to throw the ball 80 yards. Is it because you can't throw the ball far enough? Is it because they got 8 guys on defense that are trying to stop you? Is it the gatekeeper that was on defense that stopped you? You know, you don't really know. As where if you're continuously moving the ball 5 yards, what'll happen is you'll hear from the defense. They'll say, hey, I'm checking out your thing. I got a question for you. And that allows you to troubleshoot. If they say, hey, it's not really clear to me how expensive your thing is or how much it costs. Well, now we can address the cost elephant in the room because we know it's what they're asking, right? So that's the other thing with moving the ball forward continuously. You can be agile. If the defense goes to the left, you can run to the right. How much is it? You can answer the question. If they tell you, hey, I'm reaching out because it's a really slow season, you can put in your automations like what to do if it's a really slow season. Like you can calibrate it to the people you're talking to, which is very hard to do if you're just going Hail Mary in one play, right? Like if you go to the girl at the bar and say, hey, do you want to have a night with me? And she says, no, thank you. Was it your line? Are you ugly? Do you smell funny? Does she have a boyfriend? Like you don't fucking know. Flip side of that is, if you say, can I have your number? And you get her number, and all of a sudden you guys are texting 20 times, and she says, I don't want to go on a date. Is it you? Is it the place? Is it the timing? You can ask those things, right? Oh, I'm allergic to shellfish. I don't want to go to a seafood place with you. Oh, well, if that's the case, would you go over here to somewhere else? Yes, I would. Now all of a sudden you can like troubleshoot those problems, right? You can dial in your offer. That's not possible without automated follow-up. If you're trying to go from, and by the way, I can't tell you the number of times where I meet people who are in such scarcity that they need like magic internet money so fast that they don't build automations that work. And then I have the same conversation because I've been doing this like 7-8 years, just so you guys know, where I have the same conversations with people. I can think of somebody in particular where the conversation was like, hey, everything you said about those automations and stuff makes a lot of sense, but I just need some money right fucking now, like today. Like I need to get paid before sundown. And then they don't build what they should really build. And then what ends up happening is a year goes by and they go, Frankie, I just need some fucking money now. And I go, did you build that automation thing that would keep the ball moving forwards for you? No, I didn't. But I just need some money fucking now. I need somebody to sleep with me tonight. I need to go 80 yards in a play. How the fuck do I do it? And it's like, they're constantly starting over because they don't have balls that are continuously moving forwards. I just said balls, and heard a less than PG thought in my brain because I don't think I ever grew past high school age. But that's my way of saying like the more you guys build automations that follow up with people, the better you're going to do. And also, this is only going to become more important as time goes on when people are more and more distracted. The idea that like. Think about how easy it would have been to sell in the 1900s if you were like a blacksmith. You just ran a sign that said, I'm a blacksmith. Fast forward 10 years and there were 40 blacksmiths. And then fast forward, now somebody's like, I got a better, faster, easier process. And now they can, buy through TV and then the internet. And like, it's just only gotten more complex. And the way, in my opinion, to stand out from the noise is repetition. They have to see you like 10, 20 times before they're going to buy your shit in general. Does that mean like, nobody's ever going to see your shit once and buy? Of course not. But you're severely handicapped if all you try and do is go 80 yards on a play. You're like severely fucking handicapped. Anyways, that's all I got for questions. I just want to reiterate for those of you guys who missed the intro. Firstly, that I don't see the questions and comments that are coming on Facebook, so I will respond to you guys after. But I just want to say for those of you guys, I got a couple of things for those of you guys who are have not already done so. Like you should check out the Wolfpack Mastermind because we're just I think we're ahead of the curve for what's happening. I already see, at least, like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but you can see that like AI is making it noisier. So what do we do about it? Like I'm already on those things, and we built so many tools and things like that that I think will just make your life easier, and we're only accelerating those tools. Secondly, for those of you guys who are interested, I'll be speaking in late July. I believe it's the 27th to the 30th in Cancun, Mexico. And I'm going to be at JC and Karen Heights. The Commitment Summit, there's going to be some other cool speakers. Mike McAllowitz, the Profit First. And they almost always have Shark Tank guys, Kevin Harrington and what's the other dude's name? Damon John. I don't actually know who's going to be there this year, other than I'm going to be there, which makes it fucking cool. So if you guys are interested, make sure to shoot me a message. I'll send you some details. If you get it through my link, you guys will save a little bit on that. Plus, you'll be invited to a private dinner where we'll get to hang out, and in that time, I will help you to dial in your shit to sell through video, so that video you can be the hardest working person in your company. I'll help you dial that in at the event, and we'll get to hang out in person. It's 100 of the top agency owners. If you want to be one of them, shoot a brother a message, and I will send you some details. That's all I got for you guys in this video. Much love. Happy Monday. May the force be with you. And peace out, guys. Buy my book, or I will urinate in your cat's water dish.